Hi, and welcome to another SEO hangout or rant with Josh Bachynski. That would be myself. We're into the holiday season now, as you can tell by the tree behind me that my staff was nice enough to put up. They went holiday crazy. And to commiserate this tree behind me, I'm now announcing officially that we are in the 5 weeks of SEO-MAS. That's right. For 5 weeks, I will be giving away free SEO services of various kinds as a thank you to my viewers and to give back to the community. So that's right. We're now in the 5 weeks of SEO-MAS where I will give you some kind of free SEO services of various types, and it will change every week. And this week, the free SEO services is that I will help you not be ripped off. So the first thing I want to talk about was people getting ripped off. So, so trust me, this all fits together somehow. Just wait for it. A lot of people contact me for SEO services, and they watch my videos and they say, Josh, can you help me out? Blah blah blah. And before I forget, you can contact me with any SEO question you want. You can contact me at my email address, which is joshbachynski@gmail.com. My Twitter is @joshbachynski, and you can also watch all my videos at youtube.com/jbachins. That's JBACHYNS. And you can email me with any SEO questions you want, including these kinds. Often I get people contact me and they're like, I just had an SEO do stuff to my site and an SEO company, and now my site's penalized. Or, what did they do? Or even people contacting me, are these guys good, or are they doing the right thing? That kind of thing. And quite frankly, I'm not going to name any names, but quite frankly, there's a lot of shady SEO going on right now out there. There's a lot of people being ripped off. It's hugely risky. There's a lot of risky companies that are losing clients, and they're very hungry for new clients. And a lot of these are quite frankly, again, I have no problem with outsourcers, but a lot of these are outsourced companies that really didn't understand SEO that well to begin with, and just to make as much money as possible, made it as automatic as possible. And of course, now that's as risky as possible nowadays, right? So, the people are still sending out form emails with, we'll put your links on a PR4 blog, and you look and it's a completely spam blog, and it's not even indexed in Google anymore. There's some shady stuff still, obviously still going on, it's always been going on, but it's even more funny. Funny is not the word. Interesting is not the word either. Terrible, something between funny, interesting, and terrible. It's still going on in this day and age where, panda and penguin and hummingbird and it's all been so obvious, and there's so much good information out there, and people still don't get it and what's going on. So, quite frankly, this is going to sound weird coming from a person who sells SEO services, but take it from me, hire me or not, I don't care, but you just can't get any person to do your SEO now. Especially if they have no idea what's going on, especially if they send you these form letters, especially if it sounds like they're doing SEO like it's still in 2008, and they're like, oh yeah, you can still do SEO like it's 2008. You can't, right? You've got to be really careful about who you're choosing, and you've got to take responsibility, for your own risk mitigation. Because, if you're not taking a responsibility for your business's risk mitigation, well, then whose business is it? Quite frankly, right? That includes your marketing, and that includes your SEO. So there's a lot of guys who still have and girls who have still no idea what's going on. And I'm sorry, and this is going to sound a little cruel, and I hope you take the proper meaning from this. I'm not trying to be cruel when I say this, but quite frankly, doing it yourself is not as easy as it used to be. In fact, the barrier to entry for SEO, you talk about barriers to entry for getting into this industry or that industry. The barrier for entry for SEO, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The barrier for entry for SEO has gone from like a grade 7 level education, where you just have to be able to click some buttons on a program and not really understand what's going on, to like at least a master's level of education. And I'm not just saying that because I have a master's degree. I'm saying that because I know that's the level of research it takes, and I know how much research I'm doing to keep up and above ahead of the game, and keep most of my customers ranking most of the time, without penalties and things like that. In fact, almost none of my customers get penalties. They always come to me after they've gotten a penalty. And very few of my own sites, even my blackest and my black hat sites and affiliate niches and whatnot, very few of them have been hit, and all of them have recovered. It's not easy. It's extremely hard, and it takes extreme research, extreme knowledge. It's not a matter of manpower. It's not a matter of how cleverly you tweak the title tags. It's a matter of the research and the strategy you put in, the risk mitigation strategies, like 10 levels of risk mitigation you put into your strategy. So, not that you can't do it yourself, you can. And not that there isn't other good SEOs out there, I'm sure there are. And not that there's not good SEO services out there. You know, you could very well be watching this video on one. But all of that being said, you still have to take responsibility for it. And, you know, you could go to the best restaurant in the world and still eat really terrible food for you, if that makes any sense. So you still have to be responsible in terms of how you cook it all up, so to speak. What you order and what you do, and ultimately every business is responsible for their own risk mitigation in general. So, sorry, that was a rant, a diatribe, but I warned you that there's rants and diatribes. So here's the present part. Here's the gift part that I'm giving back, is that for free, I will, if you send me a quote that someone's given you, or you send me a plan that someone's given you, a report that someone's recently given you, some discrete piece of thing that I can look at, I will vet it for you for free. That's right. I am so annoyed at all the SEO charlatans out there and what they give and how much they charge for it, and the plans and the quotes they give you, that I will, for the 5 weeks of SEO-miss, this is the 5 weeks of December 2013, email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com, and I will for free vet the quote, and I will tell you whether I think it's a good quote or it's a bad quote, or if I would do this or I would not do that, or if it's a good deal or a bad deal. I won't even sell you any services. I'll say, that's what I think, bye, thanks. That's it. I won't even send you my price list. I won't even do anything like that. And so I will give you my 2 cents for someone who's been in the industry for 13 years and taught business risk mitigation courses at the university level. I will tell you if I think it's a good plan for your business strategy. I'm going to have to ask you a couple questions like, what do? You have a short-term business strategy, a long-term, that kind of thing. But basically, I'll give you my 2 cents for whatever that's worth for free. I will vet the quote. I will look at their report. I will, take a look, and I'll tell you if it's worth doing or not, in my opinion, and if I think it's risky or not, or what's going on. So that's my gift back to you for the first week of SEO-miss. That's my first week gift. On the first week of SEO-miss, Josh gave back to you his opinion, which he has lots of. So that's my first gift, which, is a little bit self-serving, but okay. So anyway, so let's get to some SEO leaks. And I like to call these SEO leaks SEO quickies. No, it's not what you thought with your dirty minds. It's a bunch of SEO leaks, that just kind of random ones that came out from John Mueller in October 25th. These are from, and I'm going to be very quickly catching up to where we are now, because he's putting out less Hangouts because of the pressure, or because I don't know why he's putting out less Hangouts. So Google decided they're going to be less transparent now, or something. I don't know. So here are some of these SEO quickies, some leaks, some very interesting ones, but they're very fast. I'm just going to go through them really quickly. Okay, so the first one is, now again, I don't mean to out sites, but these guys put their own domain name out there. So I'm not outing them. It's not like they're a client of mine I'm outing. These guys put their own domain name out there for everyone to look at and give them opinions. So I'm going to put it out there, and you can take a look at it. The site is called carbuyingtips.com. Hey, who knows? They're not a client of mine. This is not a promotion for them in any way, shape, or form. Nor is it a demotion for them in any way, shape, or form. They put their domain out there so you can take a look at it. Hey, maybe you'll get some good tips on buying cars. But the reason why I want to mention it is because John Mueller specifically said October 25th, so about a month ago, October 25th, John Mueller specifically said that site had no linking problems whatsoever. That as far as he's concerned, if you look at the backlink profile, that's what a quote-unquote normal site should look like. So if you want to get an idea, well, what does Google really think a normal backlink profile looks like these days? Well, a Googler, a big one, John Mueller, who's been working there for many, many years, a long time, and knows all their algorithms and is up to date on all that stuff because he has to help people and figure out what's going on. He helps test the algorithms, so he knows all about that stuff. He looked at this site, carbuyingtips.com, and he said the link profile looks perfectly natural to him. And that's not their problem, because they were having ranking problems. He said it's probably quality of trust. And I took a look at it myself, and I could tell in 5 seconds it was a Panda problem. So they have Panda. By the way, if you guys are watching this, you have Panda. There's another gift. Hey, you don't have to hire me to diagnose what was going on with your site. You have a Panda problem. I can spot it a mile away. I don't even need to look at your analytics. So that's not links. That's usage metrics and site quality, duplicate content to a minor degree, but mostly usage metrics, bounce back to SERP rate, things like that. So, what did I find when I took a look at their backlink problems? Well, you can take a look yourself to see if what you see. But when I take a look, I found it was very interesting, these three things. One, they had very low blog or manual post sites in their backlink profile. I use link research tools from Kemper. I don't like Link Detox. I get the full suite of link research tools personally, and I use the backlink profiler tool in that particular suite. It's expensive, but it's the best link research tool thing out there as far as I'm concerned. They're not even a client of mine either. There's another freebie for you. Link research tools, in my opinion, it's German engineering at its finest. It's great. It's a great. That's what I use to do all my link research. It uses all the different sources, Majestic, SEO-MAS. It imports them all. Then you can import your webmaster tools into that too, and you get the full spectrum of links. Anyway, it'll tell you what type of link it is. It also tells you where the link is on page. And so these are some of the main trust factors, right? So I took a look, and very low. This site, carbuyingtips.com, had, with the so-called natural link profile, had very low blog or manual post sites. Manual posts like press releases, wikis, blogs, all those kind of things. Very, very low, like 8% or 10%, something like that. That's one thing. Two, and Google can detect that. Google knows whether it's a blog or a manual post site, and those links are getting distrusted at this point. Another thing is that it had very low comments. It had almost no comment links in its backlink profile, which, some of you would be saying comments. Who's still using those? But some people are. And quite frankly, if they're not being ignored entirely, they're just penalty bait waiting to happen, and they have been for the last 5 years or so. So I'd be very careful about that. Now, the next thing is that it had very low search query anchors or commercial anchors. So it was, the kind of links they had was a great site about car tips, or how to learning about buying a car, or like very individual, different kind of anchor text. It wasn't car buying tips. That wasn't the majority of their anchor text. Which is good because their EMD is carbuyingtips.com, so that would be very bad to have EMQ to EMD, as I've mentioned many, many times before. And I have lots of videos to prove that. If you want to see the videos I have about Penguin 2, they're out, by all means look at my YouTube channel. YouTube/jbachynski, J-B-A-C-H-Y-N-S. Y-N-S indeed. Okay, the next little SEO quickie. This was mentioned both by John Mueller and Matt Cutts recently, that you should fix all your duplicate meta descriptions and titles. That it will have, and I quote, a small but noticeable effect to your SEO if you're having problems. If you have got duplicate ones, or you've got meta descriptions that aren't very good, and titles for that matter. So make sure they're not duplicated. And that was John Mueller who said that, and Matt Cutts put a video very recently and echoed him, if you recall as well. Okay, the next one is just an SEO quickie for your information. Just in case you were wondering, they are not treating HTML5 in any way differently. In HTML5, there's an article tag, or there's like a main body tag and things like that to mark up your content and say this is the main content area, this is the sidebar, this is the navigation, this is the header, that kind of thing. That's all in HTML5. Well, John Mueller recently mentioned they're not doing anything with that at all. They're not doing anything with HTML5. Unlike microformats and schema.org, they are doing stuff with. They are reading the schema.org and the microformat HTML. They are not reading HTML5. In case you thought it gave you a boost, it doesn't at all. Also, they're not doing CSS or HTML validation. They don't care if it validates in HTML or CSS. John Mueller's mentioned that point blank a number of times. Okay, the next one. In terms of legal pages and terms pages, John Mueller was asked if they help you rank by me, and he said they do not help you rank in any way. In fact, it might help you if they are duplicated. So you don't need a terms and conditions page, you don't need a legal page. Those things don't help you. A contact us page does help you, which I'll be mentioning in a little bit. But the terms page, the legal page, those kinds of pages like that, they're not looked at in some terms of a quality algorithm. At least John Mueller claims that they're not, and he was very dismissive, so I don't think there's anything tricky going on there. In fact, if they're duplicated, it could hurt you because it could reduce the trust. If they see too much dupe content on your site, it could reduce the trust in your site. So if the page does not need to rank and it is duplicated, I would just suggest no indexing it, or make it unique, or add the text in as an image or an iframe. That way it won't be counted as text because it's in an image or it's in an iframe that's on another site. Okay, the next SEO quickie for you. Just because your backlink site is hit with a penalty doesn't mean the link coming from it is bad. So if you have site A and site B, site A is hit with a penalty and it's your backlink site pointing to site B. So it goes down in ranking. Is the link that's pointing to this site bad now? The answer is no. It passes as much quote-unquote link equity as it did before, according to John Mueller. So just because your private blog network gets hit, or just because your backlink sites you notice get a penalty wherever you get them from, however you get them, doesn't mean you need to remove the link for that reason. So there you go. Backlink sites that are hit with a penalty still pass link equity. They might have a lower trust factor because they're hit. There could be other patterns going on that will mean the link is not very great for you to have. But just because that site was hit with a penalty, either a manual penalty or an algorithmic demotion, doesn't mean that it's not passing link equity, so you don't need to go and delete it. Okay. All right, so now we're up to November 4th. And John Mueller mentioned some leaks, some very interesting leaks, and so we'll get to these. Okay, so here's a very interesting one as well. This one's extremely interesting. It's about the partial link penalty. In Webmaster Tools, when you get a manual action, and they say the action is because of unnatural links, and the action they're taking is versus your links, not versus your site. They're two different ones. Versus links is when it says it only affects the links. It affects some incoming links, and you don't need to do anything else. They've just ignored them or because they're suspect links, whether you made them or not. The action versus site means that the site has a penalty, or at least this is always the way that John Mueller has explained it, and this has always been the way that I've worked, and it seems to work that way, right? But recently, although John Mueller in the past had said no, the action was taken versus links, you don't have to do anything. He was asked again, if I got the partial link penalty, do I have to do anything? Do I have to remove any of the links? Yes or no? And recently he said maybe. This is a complete change from what he said previously. He said previously point blank, no, you don't have to remove the links if you've got the partial link penalty. Recently he said maybe. And the reason why is he implied that it would diminish the site's trust. So this is very interesting and different than what he said before. He previously said that if you receive the manual action, unnatural links, action versus links, that you don't need to do anything. You don't need to add any links in your disavow file because they've already disavowed them for you, right? Recently, he said maybe you should remove them. And he kind of implied, you can go back and see yourself, it was the November 4th hangout. He kind of implied that it diminishes your trust rank. So you don't have to delete the links. So this is my upshot. This is my take on it. You don't have to delete the links, but you may want to if you know how to find the exact links that you got the penalty from. If you know how to find the exact links you got the penalty from, then you might want to try disavowing them or deleting them. Otherwise, it's just too risky. It's too risky to do. You're invariably going to select links they're currently counting as good, or that's the risk. You're going to select links they currently count as good that are helping your page rank, and you're going to delete them or disavow them, and you will shoot yourself in the foot. We have seen the disavow file work in that regard. It doesn't seem to work very often getting rid of Penguin, unless you also delete links. But it does seem to hurt sites that put it in there inadvertently. There's a couple of cases of that. So also, if you receive the unnatural link notice action versus links, I would take it as a warning to just stop building risky links, right? If you receive that, you can't just go on at business as usual as if it's 2008. One, you can't do that at all anymore. Two, especially if you receive the unnatural link notice action versus links, you have to build links safely. So if you want information on how to build links safely in this day and age, moving into 2014, by all means email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. Okay, now here's another question about links. What about banner ads or image links? Are they suspicious? John Mueller was asked this recently, and he said point blank, yes. He said, yes, they are. If they are in the sidebar and they have any kind of words around them that suggest that these are sponsored links or bought links or paid links, then yes, they are suspect, and that is a problem. At best, he's mentioned this previously, and this is kind of my take on it, but at best they're going to be ignored, or at worst they're going to bubble up to the manual team, and the manual team is going to take a look at them because they look like paid links, because they're in the sidebar where everyone puts paid links, and they're a banner ad, where, the major kind of paid link that people buy. So be very careful if that's what your image links look like. Okay, and here's another question about links, and again about the Disavow tool. Very recently, John Mueller was asked by me, how does the Disavow file work? Does it work like robots text, or does it work eventually through majority voting? So originally the Disavow file sounded like it worked like a robots.txt. So if you don't know how that works, Google will crawl the link on some backlink site, and then they will see where the link points to. They'll put that new URL into their crawl quota if they don't have it there already. And then they will process the link and apply the link juice to the target, right? But when they added the Disavow file, the way they explained it, it sounded like this. It sounded like they would crawl the link, and then when they go to process the link, they will check, like, if it's in a Disavow file, if it's disavowed, they won't process the link, or they won't process the link juice. But if it isn't disavowed, then they will process the link juice, either negative or positive. That's how they kind of made it sound like it worked. But because so many people are having such trouble getting the Disavow file to work, people can get it work for the manual action versus site, no problem. You delete 10, 20% of your links. You show due diligence that you contacted all these people and couldn't get any more deleted, and then you put the rest in a Disavow file. And if you go up to the threshold of what links are suspect that they found, which is usually pretty aggressive, like 70 to 90%, because once a manual person looks at it, it's pretty easy for them to tell that this is they go on the side of doubt, right? If in doubt, they will flag all the links, and so you have to be pretty aggressive with the manual action, getting the Disavow file to get it revoked. You can do that for the manual action, but people are having trouble getting Penguin lifted. The only people I've seen get Penguin lifted with a Disavow file were people who also deleted. They deleted and disavowed. Probably because they just weren't aggressive enough with the Disavow file. They probably have to be as aggressive with the Disavow file for Penguin, like disavow like 80-90% of their links. Anything that looks even remotely suspect. It's on a blog, it's a manual post, it's a press release, it's a wiki, anything like that. Google, or it's a commercial anchor text, or an obvious search phrase. Like buy red apples, like who's making a link buy red apples, or red apple review, or red apple info. Somebody might make a natural link like that. That doesn't matter anymore. Google is not trusting it. So if you have a commercial anchor text or a search phrase anchor text, that's going to be a problem. So you'd have to be very aggressive in your disavowal to get like 80 or 90% of those at least. And then maybe Penguin will let you out. But even if it does, you have lost so much link juice that it doesn't really matter. So because people didn't want to be that aggressive, I imagine people have not been that aggressive with the Disavow file, and a lot of people are having trouble of getting Penguin lifted just from the Disavow file alone. And so the question is raised, well, maybe the Disavow file doesn't work at all. And of course, there was that leak from a high-level Googler that I reported in a previous video that was leaked to a white hat friend of mine, and we were at a conference, and he mentioned to me, we're drinking beers, and he says, by the way, the Disavow file doesn't do anything. So-and-so from Google mentioned to me specifically that it was just there for the manual team to make a mechanism because they're getting tired of people trying to email them Excel docs or, trying to email them Google Docs or whatever in these god-awful convoluted formats. And so they just wanted to standardize it. So I asked Matt Cutts on Twitter, and he responded to me on Twitter. I accused him of this being, a farce, and he responded, no, the Penguin, the Disavow file will work for Penguin. And so the question is, okay, well, if that is true, if we take them at their word that it does work for Penguin, the Disavow file, does it work like the robots text, like we thought, or does it work where if enough people across the board disavow, e-zine articles, or disavow, not to call any particular spammy site out, but they disavow this site. If it's like, if xyz.com, if spammylinks.com shows up in 80% of the world's disavow files, then and only then will they disavow the links coming from spammylinks.com, and then it will positively affect everybody who had a penalty because they had links from that site. So does it work like a robot text, or does it work like this machine learning version where it's like a majority vote? And over some magic number, like 50% of people or 60% of all disavow files in the world have xyz.com in it, then and only then do they disavow it. So that's the concept. So I asked John Mueller point blank, how does the disavow file work? Does it work like the robots.txt, or does it work on machine learning on a mass vote? And you can go and look at the Hangout. It was November 4th. And so my question came up. He said, oh, okay, we'll look now at the questions that are being asked. And it's I don't know if you watched his Hangouts recently, it's the new Hangout format where you can ask questions and they actually come up and everyone can see them come up. And so my question came up with my smiling face there. And I asked the question point blank, is it robots.txt or is it machine learning? He said, well, we'll answer this question now. We'll go to the questions from the chat. We'll look at this question. He looked at it. He read it. He saw his eyes going back and forth like this. He read it. And then he said, and then we'll go to the moderator page. And so he ignored my question entirely. So you can take that however you want. I take it that there's something fishy going on there and he didn't want to answer it. Either he hates me, which is entirely possible because I keep asking these tough questions, or he didn't want to mention anything about the disavow tool. So you can take that as a piece of positive evidence, if you like, that maybe it doesn't work like the robots text. Maybe it works on this machine learning. 60% of people need to put it in their disavow file. And then, 8 months down the road, when they feel like it, they'll process the disavow, all the disavow files that exist over like 60% or whatever their number will be, their shoot from the hip number of what they'll select. And then, those sites, spammylinks.com, that shows up in 80% of the disavow files across the board on the entire planet, then and only then will they disavow those links. So yes, the disavow file works in that case, but it works in a very long time. And so basically, this is the upshot, as a lot of people are saying, not just myself. You really cannot rely on the disavow file. It really is too risky to rely on that as your get-out-of-jail-free card, because you don't get out of jail with it. Not unless you also delete files. And it seems to work that way, both with the manual penalty and the algorithmic demotion. I don't know if any of you out there use the disavow file and that alone and got out of Penguin or got out of a linking problem, known linking problem, by all means, contact me and show me. I'd love to see it, but I have yet to see it. And we'll have to see. Crossing my fingers for clients of mine who cannot delete their links and yet do not want to get rid of their domain names. But we'll see when they roll Penguin out next time. Probably May 2014 is probably the next time they'll do it. There was just a recent update between November 14th and 24th or 5th, but that was probably the 10 days of Panda. Remember, Panda rolls out every month, and it's going to fluctuate for 10 days. People go up and down for 10 days before it finalizes and processes all the comparative usage metrics and whatnot, and then runs with that for a month. So that was probably just Panda, by the way, probably not Penguin. And I've looked at it a couple sites, and looks like they had Panda issues, and so that's what it looks like it was. So if you're waiting for Penguin to refresh, I would delete some links if possible. You're probably going to have to wait till May 2014. Heck, you might want to even just choose a better domain name, something with a good partial match domain name, some good brand kitschiness that people will remember and like, and get the thing ranking new. You could probably get it ranking within 6 months faster that way than waiting for Penguin to rego. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to mention for today. If again, this is the first week of SEO-miss, the 5 weeks of SEO-miss, and again, my free gift for you this week from old St. Josh is if you have an SEO quote that's been sent to you, or you have an SEO report that's been sent to you, or some kind of tangible deliverable I can look at fairly quickly, and I can give you my 2 cents of whether or not I think it was worth the money or not worth the money, or whether it's risky or not. By all means, send that to me, and I will give you my free 2 cents on that of what I think you should do about it. So again, Merry SEO-miss, and if you have any other questions about SEO, you want me to take a deeper look, or any other things you want me to tell you about SEO, by all means, contact me. Again, it's joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can see all my videos at youtube.com/jbashins. I've got tons more videos about SEO, tons more Google links and experiments that I've done. And you can follow me at Twitter at Josh Bachynski, and I occasionally will mouth off 2 Matt cuts there. So that's always fun. Again, good luck. Happy holidays. Merry Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Merry Festivus. Whatever you practice, happy that. And I wish you good luck in the SERPs. And we'll see you next week for another week 2 of SEO-MAS. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.